Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast, episode 38.
And that time, there was a relatively tragical story happened in my life. My father passed away when I was 16 years old. When
Oh, no.
finished, it was the 10th grades at school, and he had sickness and he passed away. And actually, I would say my struggle began at that time.
My name is Alina Warwick, and today we have Dr. Vladimir Vasilenko on the show. He's a very special guest on the show because he immigrated from Russia to Canada. So today we'll get to hear another point of view of what it's like to immigrate to our neighboring country. Dr. Vasilenko is a scientist who founded Global Warming Solutions, inventing the most genius, renewable, and energy efficient products. Some of the products include a special light that preserves the food with higher efficiency rates and lower costs. He's also part of the invention of a battery that's used for small electric vehicles, making Tesla a competitor. His company is public and he provides some invaluable advice to all immigrant entrepreneurs. So let's dive right in. Vladimir, thank you so much for joining the Immigrant Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm super excited to hear all about your journey, and specifically because you immigrated to Canada. So, very special guest on our show today. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Alina. It's a great pleasure for me to share my immigration story, my experience, everything.
Tell us where you're from and when did you come to Canada?
Originally, I'm from Russia. I was born in the oldest Russian city, Veliki Novgorod, in 1963. I grew up in this historical city. And then I moved to Leningrad, or now St. Petersburg, and finished my graduation to get my master degree diploma at the Department of Biology and Soil Science. And in 1987, I got my master degree, and then I will continue my education in Moscow, and Moscow Lomonosov State University, and also Institute of Plant Physiology of Russian Academy of Science. And in 1992, I've got my PhD degree. And for about 8 years, I have been working at General Physics Institute of Russian Academy of Science, Department of Biology.
So, what did you study in school?
Biology, basically, this is my background, especially plant biology. I've got a PhD in plant physiology. That's a specific area of plant biology. So in 1998, I left Russia. I emigrated to Canada because there was a very special immigration program being offered by Canadian government to hire specialists, including scientists. So I fit perfectly to this program, and I've got a document for settle in Canada with all my family. I brought all my family, and in 1998 I moved to Canada, and actually I've got easy my first position at the University of Guelph, Ontario, and worked for 4 years to continue my research, my studies in plant biology. So this is basically the beginning of the story.
So you basically came to Canada because you were continuing your PhD research program, right?
It was after I defended PhD at Moscow's Lomonosov State University. And actually, I defended my PhD in 1992 and immigrated to Canada in 98. And there was a period of time, approximately 6 years, when I actively trying to do a lot of research at Russian Academy of Science, working at General Physics Institute. But unfortunately, that time was very, very difficult for almost every scientist in Russia. I traveled a lot in this period, visiting various countries like England, France, Germany, the United States, and finally I decided to move to Canada because it was my strong belief that working in a country like Canada would allow me to continue my research and development and also provides a better environment, a better living, not just for me, but for all my family. This is why I decided to immigrate to Canada in 1998.
And how old were you in 1998 when you immigrated?
I was 34 years old. So, how you could understand, I was already grown up man with lots of experience, and it was a serious transition change of my life, the immigration.
So, why did you say that it was difficult for researchers back when you were studying on the PhD program? Was it only difficult in Russia?
More years, because this time I believe most of us understand what was going on in Russia in 90s. For instance, I didn't get a salary for a few months. My family lived there in quite miserable conditions. And of course, I did not have any grants, any financial support for my research in Russia at that time.
So, what was it like growing up in Russia?
First of all, outstanding experience working in Russian Academy of Science, especially on the supervision of Nobel Prize laureate academician Alexander Prokhorov. I believe it gave me a lot for my scientific experience. It helped me a lot to conduct my research and did some initial discoveries in the area when I in the most interested in plant physiology and other area of biology.
Did you know always that you were going to become a scientist? Was it prominent for everyone from your town that everyone wanted to go and eventually went to a university and sought a higher education?
Yes, it's a good question. I have chosen my specialty. I would say my interest to biology was born when I was 12 years old. I was just a secondary school studying biology, a young boy. And since that time, I wanted to continue my study biology, and I was dreaming about getting education at university, especially the Leningrad, St. Petersburg University, because it was relatively close to my native city. And my very first connections, my very first experience with the scientist of the Leningrad University when I was just, again, young boy, 12, 13, 14 years old. I'm dreaming, and finally, my dream came true. I graduated from the St. Petersburg University and continued. So this was just my interest, my deep interest to the science and especially to biology.
Got it. So, growing up in Russia, all your siblings went to school. Were your parents full time workers?
Yes, I'm only child, so I don't have any brothers and
Okay.
sisters, only cousins. And that time, there was a relatively tragical story happened in my life. My father passed away when I was 16 years old. When
Oh,
not
no.
finished, it was the 10th grades at school, and he had sickness and he passed away. And actually, I would say my struggle began at that time. But I learned a lot. Actually, always negative and positive happen in the same time. So it helped me to promote my strengths and my interest to continue education.
So, did you grow up in the communist era?
Yes, because it was in 70s. I finished high school at 1980 and graduated the university, St. Petersburg University in 87, then Moscow in 92. So it was I would say, last decades of the communist era in Russia. On that time, it was Soviet Union. And I passed through all experience of certain broken down the Soviet system, the Soviet Union. That's quite experience in my life growing up, yeah, and then changing to free enterprise to capitalist society. It was quite an experience, I would say.
So, what was that like growing up in the communist era and then you saw it be broken down and then the transition? What was that experience like?
It was quite a difficult time, quite a hard experience, because in the beginning, when I start doing my research, especially PhD thesis, and then after I got this thesis and I was continuing to do my research, and that time I did not struggle for how to get funds, for instance, for my research. That time it was much easier to communicate with the scientists because everyone wanted to share their ideas, and it was kind of still enthusiastic time. And then I have everything is gone. Everything has to be think over again to change the behavior, my personal understanding of the situation, and first of all, how I can adapt to new conditions. It was quite a shocking experience with lots of pain, lots of negative experience of strong moral pressure of many unpleasant, I would say unpleasant events, difficult, dramatic event of the society. This is actually, it was the struggle, and I decided, no, it would not be not good for my family to continue living this way. I have to find something else. At least, otherwise, I would not have no choice but just leave science and go to any other area. I don't know, trade, commercial, whatever that, and was absolutely unprepared. So I decided to move in order to keep going in direction of development of my scientific skills, doing research, etc.
And so you mentioned that your family was living in Moscow in miserable conditions. Why did you say that?
Now, first of all, as there was no financial support or not sufficient financial support from the Russian government to the Academy of Science. Many scientists get a miserable salary. Or for a period of time, I did not get a salary at all because I know there was the financial crisis, difficulties of 90s, transition from the communist era to free market economy. That was very painful for intelligent people, for many teachers, scientists, engineers, and people alike. Also, poor living conditions, especially my oldest son was born that time in 1996, and my wife didn't get a chance to find a job. And many things that actually was quite difficult, not only for me,
Got it.
for
Got it.
many, for almost everybody.
Got it. Okay. So when you immigrated to Canada, did you know English?
Yes, I did. First of all, it was absolutely necessary for every scientist reading scientific magazines, journals, present the papers to the international conference. So was absolutely necessary for almost every scientist to know at least basic English. And also, I traveled a lot abroad. I visited country like England, France, Germany, but still they are communicating in English. So it was absolutely must to know.
Got it. So did you have any struggles when you first immigrated to Canada? I'm sure it was a culture shock for one, but let's talk a little bit about the struggles that you or your family had to go through when you first immigrated to Canada.
Surprisingly, there was absolutely no shock for me when I came to Canada.
Oh,
Absolutely no. And there is a reason. There was a
wow.
reason for this. Before I get used to the Western society, Western countries, because I spent more than a year traveling abroad, and I get used to this society and even, different language, different culture. And I would say even more. I always feel more comfortable in Western countries compared to my motherland. Despite I do love my motherland, Russia, but still I feel, for instance, I feel very comfortable in many European countries, even in United States and Canada. And since I came to Canada, I brought my family. I found the job very easy because of my previous connections, including, like, for instance, connections with the National Aeronautic Space Administration, NASA, because I visited Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, Florida, in 1994. First time I've been invited to visit, to grow. That time have been working at Russian Academy of Science. So it was a very special privilege for me to give a seminar at Kennedy Space Center, NASA. So they connected me to the University of Guelph, Canada. So there was absolutely no difficult find a job, a position at the Canadian University. So it was absolutely
Awesome.
no shocks. Of course, I still needed some adaptation, some getting used to the new conditions of this society. But this society was quite comfortable for me from the very beginning, from my very first steps on Canadian land. Was absolutely comfortable.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. Not a lot of immigrants go through an amazing process when they first immigrate to another country. So that's fabulous. That's amazing. So, what about the immigration process? I know America has struggles with the immigration process, and sometimes it takes 10 years to get all the way through the process. Is it? I'm assuming that it's a lot easier in Canada to get immigrated fully and have everything established. Is that normal?
It's a very good point. This is why, unfortunately, I'm not in the United States. I'm living in Canada. I would say why I say unfortunately. From first step, it was for me was just amazing experience when I came to Canadian embassy in Moscow and fill all the immigration paper before and present them. They say Canada needs people like you, especially highly educated, experienced person, because just Canada is opened the door widely for specialists who could bring new technologies, new idea on Canadian land. So I have been given the documents in a 3 months, 3.5 months. I've got all paper to become a permanent resident of Canada.
Did you say 3.5 months?
Yeah, approximately. So yeah, I applied for my documents in like late October, and in February, beginning of March of next year, 98, I've got all paper for three of us that time. Me, my wife, and my oldest son. Very quickly.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I hear a lot of stories where people actually move from other countries to United States and they unfortunately don't have a choice but to move to Canada and Canada opens them with open doors. So it's good to hear that Canada is an amazing process to go through with the immigration process and I really hope that United States can really catch up to that as well. So, Vladimir, before you tell our listeners about your company, tell me a little bit more about the path that you took. And did you try to go into any other fields before starting your business? So, what I'm hearing is you came, you immigrated, and you worked at that job for 4 years initially. What happened after that?
Yeah, this will be a second part of my story of immigration to Canada. Before I said about positive, everything
Okay.
was positive. It was a blue sky above me, no wind, no hurricanes. Yeah, but unfortunately, it did not last very long. I'm lucky that I got my position very quickly, and but after a period of time, I realized that my technology, my idea, my research did not fit properly to the policy of the University of Guelph. My plans did not meet the support of the biological department of the dealt with couple of professors who were my supervisors. But unfortunately, for a number of reasons, they did not support all my plans to continue my research and development as scientist. Because, first of
Why?
all, no funds available for my specific project. That I was surprised
Mm,
because I did believe that my project could bring lots of new, interesting discoveries, ideas, but unfortunately, money. And again, my proposal did not fit into this system. So my proposal been rejected, and I start looking for a job, for another position. And luckily, I found another position for a small, very small company, and the business was related to organic technology for agriculture. And I was thrilled in the very beginning. I became a senior scientific officer of the company. But unfortunately, after
Mhm.
3 years, the management, the CEO of the company made a critical mistake in the business and business failed. Of course, the company was been closed and sold, was filed a bankruptcy. I end up without job.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened in 2005, so about 15 years ago. And that
Mhm.
already moved to another part of Canada. Actually, it's still in the same province, Ontario province of Canada, but I moved. Now I live in close to Quebec, near the border to the United States. But it's a small place. It's a small place, and I was wondering what I must do next. I tried hard to find another job in Canada, because I did not want me to move to far away from my location, especially my second son, my youngest son, was born that time, and was very difficult to move with a small children, find a position. So that time I was unlucky. And somebody tell me, Vladimir, it would be good for you to find a job in the United States because Canada, you will face difficulties to find a position that I wanted in Canada. I applied many times and I failed. And it's interesting. In many applications I sent, I got back a reply with an information that unfortunately I cannot fit to this position because I'm overqualified for for a position
Yeah.
I applied for. So this is why I've been asking, why not the United States? Because having the citizenship of Canada, it's not difficult to move. But I decided not to do it. There were many reasons for this. So I decided to go to start my own business because there was a reason for this. I had enough experience, especially in the area of organic agriculture, to help local farmers, local growers to grow their product organically with a reduction of usage of chemicals, applying my lights, and I would say it's not so big deal for me to live in Canada because we are living in a global society and I can easily get connected with the companies abroad, United States, European country, Asia, whatever, because of the internet communication. So I start with my consulting business, small. I registered as a self-employment, self-entrepreneur, and I started my business right out of my bedroom with just computer, with, doing the consult. And it was not so bad because I've been in touch with several companies in various countries. I also it gave me a chance to visit abroad. For instance, I got connected with the one organic company that going making organic products for growers in New Zealand, in that region. I'm still connected with them. I traveled twice to New Zealand, also Australia, then Japan, European country like Spain, Italy, Netherlands. Also, I've been in touch with several companies and it helped me to stay alive financially, to support my family
Yeah.
for a period of time. And then, but it was still difficult. And then in 2006, I connected, actually, not me, but I've been connected through one friend of mine who lived in Moscow. He connected me with one immigrant who lived in the United States, and he offered me an interesting idea, an interesting proposal to start business with the name Global Warming Solution because that time it was quite a very hot topic. It's still a hot topic. The problem of global warming was still quite an
Mhm.
area that many people concerned with. Climate changing, various problem related to the climate change. Okay, and he helped me to register a company. interested in the United States because at the time he said we can bring investors where if it will be American company, not Canadian company, and we will bring this company to stock market so we can shares the company and raise capital for the business. I said, okay, this is an excellent idea. So I get started with this fellow in 2006. We registered the company. He provides me some initial capital because he believed in my idea, that my idea would be just a very great assets for the company to start to raise initial capital. So the company been registered on the stock market, and it was the very good start. 2006, 2007, we start make connections with the businesses, but unfortunately, the financial crisis came in late 2007, 2008.
So you registered your global warming solutions and you went public at the same time.
Right. And this case, my contact helped me to do a lot because without his help, I was unable to do it, of course, because was
Mhm.
American citizen and had connection before and experience how to bring the company to a stock market and start raising capital through selling the shares.
Got it. Okay. So your main source of raising capital was through the stock market selling shares.
Yeah, right. When that time was economically a very good time until the financial crisis happened.
Okay. And so then what happened? What did you pivot and change your direction to raise more capital in another way?
Yeah, I had to adapt to this situation. So actually, I returned to my consultancy service in organic agriculture because I realized this is only way for me to get some money for the company and for especially for my salary, because we were unable to sell any shares anymore in this situation, and we did not get an investor for global warming solutions. So I just changed the profile of the business, actually adapt a strategy of the business to go in with consultancy service. But at the same time, I continue some of my project. Like there was one interesting project that I started development long time before, even when I lived in Russia. Application of a new lighting system with the unique spectrum, with LED light emitted diodes lighting system for growing plants indoor and for increasing shelf life of fresh produce and the perishable for product, perishable food. I did some testing, and that time I been connected, got in touch with the Dutch company in the Netherlands. The small business, I started to do some tests, and I've got a grant from the government of the Netherlands for initial development of new lighting system for growing plant indoor for increased shelf life. And the uniqueness of this lighting system was because it was just not an ordinary light that helps plant to grow, but this light also helps kill micro or pathogenic microorganisms, spoilage microbes that spoil food,
Hmm.
for instance. So two positive effects in one product. One lighting system, but it helps plant to grow better, to save energy, because that's unique spectrum that simulates the sunlight spectrum. And at the same time, it helps food, fresh produce like fruit and vegetables, to stay longer, to increase their longevity, because this light
Mhm.
kills pathogenic and spoilage microorganisms. And also, of course, this food becomes safer for consumption, safe for humans. Because, for instance, such a pathogenic microorganism like E. coli that can be harmful
Mhm.
for people, this microorganism can be killed with this lighting system. So it was a period of time starting in 2009, 10, 11, when I switched my activity to this research and development project, still connected with the global warming solutions. But that time we were unable to make something and sell sell for, because it was the still stage of research and development. And it took much longer than I expected before because, first of all, lack of fund. Those periods still for me struggling for surviving because I get funds from various sources. For instance, I say the government of Netherlands, but it was only temporal fund. I got a positive results. I share my information with this company. They start using this data, but unfortunately, I was not get paid and not get a substantial reward for this business from my discoveries. However, it allowed me to apply for the patent, international patent and national patents, like for patent of Canada, United States. It was the European patent applications that I in 2010, 2011, 12, several patent applications. So those I'm continue to do this work and building the strong foundation for my company, Global Warming Solution, because before I did not have this strong foundation. I did not have patent. I did not have anything tangible to offer to the market. And during the period between 2010 and 2014, I achieved quite a lot with the help of various people, of course, not just myself. And finally, I've got several patents, some of them grant patent, like, for instance, American patent for my discovery, also Canadian, another patents application. So now I do have much stronger foundation, stronger background for my current business, Global Warming Solutions, to be successful in the market. My partner, his name is Artyom, also brought with his idea, his patent, and we got together and start building new development for our company, getting ready for new jump with the business. And also bringing back or force a stock exchange market. And recently, the stocks went up. Just an example. In early 2020, the stock cost less than 1 cent per share. Now it's around $2, per share. Can change the logo, the stock symbol for companies GWSO, named the Global Warming Solutions Inc. We are on OTC market. It's a still pink company, but we're getting new status, so full reporting company. And the prices of shares went up substantially just for last
that's amazing.
6 months.
So you feel the stock is going to continue to rise, right?
Absolutely. Because again, this is still beginning of the prosperous, I believe it will be prosperous, business of Global Warming Solutions. Because we are getting in touch with new investors, and we are recently released a new PR, press releases, and everyone can read about us, what we are doing, what we are going to achieve, how quickly, all about our patents, about our technologies. And the company actually is getting, again, new development. But we're about a new spin-off of the business.
And so what products do you have out there in the market?
So there are 3 types of products and technologies. First of all, the products and technology I have developed before, related to agriculture, especially organic agriculture and food safety. This is the lighting system developed. Now we are in negotiation with the several grocery stores and growers across the United States. And I believe we will get a very serious deal with this company for manufacturing and buying the lighting system that I developed. First of all, increase in shelf life of the fresh produce, cut flour and perishing product on the shelf of the supermarkets and grocery stores. This is the first product. Then application of light for growing plants in greenhouses, especially on hydroponic conditions. This and increasing the food security and food safety by using this light for treatment of food that substantially decrease the risk of hazardous risk, like usage of chemicals, dangerous products, fungicide, pesticides, decrease the usage. that definitely makes environment, especially food, much more safer for consumption, especially for human beings. Again, this is the first type of the product. Another type of the product that's related to my business partner, Artyom Madatov. Artyom made several applications for patent. This related to different area. Electric vehicles, sodium-based battery, not a lithium battery, but much safer for environment, sodium-based battery for electric vehicles. And also a system for hydrogen, to injection of hydrogen to the vehicle, to the motors, to the engines, to increase the efficacy that may substantially reduce the emission of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxygen of nitrate, so make environment better. So dealing with the greenhouse effect, the reduction of greenhouse, emission of greenhouse. So this is currently we don't have any product for sales, but it's just a matter of time because we are getting funds and we can start testing and manufacturing our products very, very soon. Like related to my product, like maybe March or April, and related to other products, just matter of hopefully in 2001 we will be able to offer the customers various type of products and technology. And also, there are certain type of technologies that will have a global market, a global customers. These technology are related to ecological monitoring of the problem, like CO2 gas emission, climate, increasing the temperature of the ocean, of the water, of world ocean, dealing with monitoring and prediction of ecological disasters, like a forest fire, hurricanes, tornadoes, also development of the pandemic, like COVID-19. Interesting, all this disastrous situation and global catastrophic problems can be predictable using the certain monitoring and mathematic programs and model by gathering information from various sources, including data of NASA, space monitoring, control. Interesting that right now the civilization does not have such program. This is why we're dealing with consequences of this disastrous situation. Nobody could predict a pandemic because there was no data, no program, no world coordination, proper world coordination. And we are going to challenge this situation as well, to make a specific connections with our partners, to make in software, program, monitoring, to provide governmental organizations, starting from United Nations, from World Health Organization, Food, Agricultural and Food Organization, government of the countries. By providing this data, they can predict disastrous situation because of the climate change, because of the raising of temperature. For what areas of the earth we could expect various disasters, like a forest fire or hurricane. So we are starting this business that I believe is absolutely necessary for the planet of Earth to survive and to prevention ecological catastrophes. So this is a third type of product. So we see we have a very versatile, broad businesses that actually, I believe, could change the world some way, positive way, by providing this global awareness about the situation.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities that you have gone into and have reached out and connected in different ways. And I'm looking at your website and specifically for what you have, Alterna Motors. And there's like these scooters and like golf carts and electrical vehicles. So is this through the battery that you were talking about, the energy source that you were developing? Is that how this product was made?
Yes, this is the battery. And the second, there is a very interesting moment. The last mile delivery vehicle. Three wheels, motor scooters, cars, they can sell a huge amount of energy, and also with the zero emission, no pollution for the environment. Because up to this day, usually the big trailer trucks, big vehicle,
Right.
trailer trucks, they deliver stuff to the small groceries, small restaurants, small places, and even a very small convenience store. Sometimes it shouldn't be this way because it's a waste of time, money, and it increases pollution of the big cities. And especially having with traffic problem. Many cities have a disaster with the traffic jams. There's no fresh air in the big cities. So how this is a question, it challenging the and dealing with the question how to make this delivery maximum possibly efficient without polluting the environment and saving energy. Small vehicle with zero emission.
So when is this going to be out in the market?
A very good question because we have to find definitely a business partner because my company is still very, very small. And our first question is to find how to find the proper partners. We are actually have some already contact established in this direction, but I will see what will happen in near future. I do believe we will be successful with this, but unfortunately, everything takes time, especially now with this pandemic situation. For instance, now in Canada, I actually locked up in my place. I cannot travel because all non-essential businesses are closed until maybe mid-February, late February, and it definitely has a very negative impact on business of global warming solutions, unfortunately.
Got it. Got it. And so Tesla better watch out because global warming solution is about to take over, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
And so, Vladimir, how old were you when you started your business?
So we talk about my first consulting business. It was in 2006, and I was 43 years old.
So, how long did it start you to see some real traction in the beginning stages when you started your consulting practice?
Almost immediately, because I already had connected with that trying with my previous contacts, but it was, as you can understand, a very, very small business. So it gave me enough money to meet and, to provide the food and good conditions for my family for just a
Mhm.
basic level to make ends meet, but nothing about this. So it was still very,
Got
very
it. Got
long
it. Okay.
process to coming from my initial consulting business to the level of global warming solutions. So a long way and long process
Mhm.
that, as you see, it's not finished yet.
Yeah, there's still a lot of growth, but a very positive and exciting growth for you. That's what I'm hearing. So, Vladimir, did you have any mentors that helped you out to start your first business? And I'm hearing you had one mentor that helped you out a lot with the global warming solutions. But what about consulting? Were you running this solo by yourself?
Absolutely by myself. I did not have anybody, except after maybe couple of years, I met fellow local who actually I met him in our church, in a church I belong, and he helped me to establish the local connection with the Canadian government and helped me with my consulting business. As a result, I got my first grant for research and development from Canadian government. But it was 2010, 2011. So definitely I met people, but most of part of my work I did by myself and experienced definitely not the best ones, trying trials and errors everywhere with some substantial disappointment as everywhere. But I
Mhm.
survived, and I'm looking forward to the positive changes of my business in the near future.
So, Vladimir, I'm really interested to know how do you look at failures and how do you overcome them?
First of all, it needs lots of pay. In my life, it takes a lots of perseverance and beliefs in what I'm doing and what I did. Because every business has lots of risks, a great deal of risks. And only my belief in my business, my technologies will bring positive change to the world, at least some difference in the technology. It gives me enough enthusiasm to continue because otherwise I won't survive. Because again, there was so many difficulties, problems, and even desperate situations. So it needs lots of beliefs and perseverance to continue a business like mine.
So powerful. So wherever everyone is listening this to, whatever journey you're on, perseverance, I'm hearing, is to power through all the failures, to push through and come on the other side. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. And also that actually I believe this first and foremost, the proper connections with people. Because without getting in touch with, for me, I did spend a lot of time by myself. But if I won't meet with certain people, I won't survive. Definitely my business won't survive. So connections, proper
Mm.
connections with right people, with good people, and listen to the proper advices. Because sometimes it's hard to find which advice are good, which advices are not good. It needs, I would say, quite a wisdom and quite a thinking over about the possible difficulties and also marketing. They're very, very important question. Would your product need for the market or not? Would people buy your products or technology or not? This is a critical question.
Hmm.
Because there are
Hmm.
so many ideas that perished, that died, because there's no market for them. It does not mean these ideas are bad or won't work, but because market is not ready. And there is one example from my story. A product, the lighting system, the LED light I developed based on
Hmm.
my discovery and the other scientific discoveries. This light would be perfect fit for grocery store, for supermarket, for greenhouses, for growers, for many areas related to growing plants and food safety. But nobody knows about how light this works. It requires lots of education for people because this light is a supplementary lighting system here is invisible for human eye. And I got a lots of skepticism. People say, "What's the light you are? Is that UV light?" I say, "No." "What's another light?" It's another spectrum. I don't see anything. Why I should believe in you? Where is your the approved from the governmental organization? Show me your not just the patents. Patent can feel everybody can feel patent, but show me the signature of high level authorities that your technology work. So what I can do in this situation? Say I don't. I have to. It takes time for people to believe, to understand the feature of this light, why this work. Because again, fortunately, there are many products on the market available. They do not work. They're just companies make it for profit. But unfortunately, they did not care about proper testing of this product. They just did care about how to make money. And the problem was this company did have initial money. They have a lots of initial money to make product that don't work, that don't bring any difference, but the high start. I'm an opposite situation.
Yeah.
I did not have money to start. I just use my time, my personal enthusiasm, and my beliefs, and I did not have money for a marketing for the even for proper market on the product. But the
Hmm.
product worked perfectly.
So, Vladimir, I'm really interested, is giving back, either volunteering time or giving back to the community, something that is part of your business values?
It's a good question. I would say there are two levels of volunteers work. Local community, I don't know because I'm kind of isolated from the local community because my business people won't understand. They just get some ideas, but don't know how to do in this direction, because I only can say that on the global level, the technology could bring a difference to every local communities. First of all, I'm thinking about the household. A household can get the advantages from the technology I use, but in many different ways, starting from the light using in the domestic fridges, refrigerators for keeping product longer, helping schools, for instance, garden center, daycare, all local organization, all and also public places, public libraries, churches, community halls. This my technology can be helpful in this direction and the product. So recently, last year, I brought my light to a local school, introducing, talking to students, like grade 9 and grade 10 students, and wanted to participate to this local in our area. It holds the Ontario School Board that actually have the number of public and high school here. Bring this technology to them and teaching students about benefits. It's on biological classes, and this is what I wanted to participate, but COVID pandemic currently prevents this. But this is my intent to help, local school, local community with introducing them the benefit of the my technologies and products. This is what I can say in this moment.
Yeah, yeah, and my husband has a backyard garden, and he starts seeds and under those, like, fluorescent lights that he gets from Home Depot or from Costco, I think, so we're really excited to have it released out in the market so we can grab a hold of those lights so he can start his backyard garden an eco-friendly way and a more efficient way, like you're saying, so, yeah, we're totally excited.
Great, it's great.
So, Vladimir, what are some things you would advise the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business listening to you right now?
Good question. Yes, first of all, based on my experience, I would say it's a very, very serious task if you want to start your own business. Think over, 7 times before you start, I would say. This is my, it's not just, I don't want to prevent you to do it, but first of all, you could expect dramatic change in your life in both positive and negative way, especially for people who have family. Family need a stable source of income. And unfortunately, especially in the very beginning, the self-entrepreneurs or new business or starting whatever activities might mean a substantially decrease of income, because you can lose money very quickly, but not on even this. Also, investment of your time. When I started my consultant business, again, I was lucky enough in the beginning, and after a while, I lived without source of income for quite a long period of time, only because my savings, my other activities. So it's investment, investment, and investment. Your time, your energy, your money, and sometimes people cannot even get through all these difficulties and losing their properties because they making debt, borrowing money from bank without support, without proper business plan. So again, I getting back to the point. It's so important to find a proper business partner, to get connected with the people who you trust, or at least who could be trusted based on your estimation, based. But it's still a very risky process, very risky, I would say, to make business successful.
Yeah, well, you've done an amazing job. And thank you so much for sharing your journey. I'm really excited to share this with everyone and all my listeners. And thank you, Vladimir, for coming on my show. You have an amazing, amazing company, amazing model. And the world really needs more of you guys. And I hope to connect sometime with you in the future and hope to hear so many more products out there in the market that helps us on a daily basis.
Thank you, Alina. Also, thank you very much for connection with me. for your contacts, and for your very encouraging word about my business and about myself. I'm glad to hear. I was glad to share this information with the listeners. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any links that were mentioned in this episode, make sure to check them out on my website under this episode to find all the links conveniently located in the show notes. I just wanted to ask for a quick favor. If you could please leave a review wherever you're at listening to this podcast. Also, if you're an immigrant entrepreneur and would love to be on my podcast, please email me and we'll get connected. I'll see you guys all next time for another exciting and impactful episode. Take care.